Hello folks, my name is MJSmith. I'm retired United States Army, 28 years, combat engineer, and most recently, assistant professor of mathematics up at the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, New York, where it's entirely too cold, or I may have chosen to stay there. Mr. Elledge and I worked together in the basement of the Missile Defense Agency, and about a year ago I recorded a video similar to this, and he asked me if I would make another version. So what I want to talk to you about, and I made a few notes, about one more semester, and a whole bunch of you are going to have high school in your rearview mirror. And then what's next? Well, for some it might be college. For others it might be the workforce. And although those are quite different, or seemingly so, they have a lot in common. And I wanted to pass along some free advice from my vantage point as someone who is honestly still trying to get used to life after the Army. I've been here in Huntsville for about 7.5 years since I took off the uniform in 2012. And here's what I would tell you. Whether in school or in the workforce, my best advice is to present yourself well. The way you carry yourself, be confident, be well-groomed, well-mannered, well-spoken. Quit using the word like every other time you open your pie hole, for example. And what I would say is learn to follow instructions. I still teach in the classroom one course each semester here at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. And I'm just amazed that students, 21, 22 years old, they can't reliably write their name at the top of every sheet of paper. They can't comply with the request not to write on the back side of the paper. Stuff like that is just going to irritate your superiors, whether that's an instructor, whether it's an employer. And be on time. Do what you're asked to do the first time, do it well, do it to a high standard. Folks don't have time to run around checking up after you. And honestly, if you do the things I just said, which are all pretty simple to do, you'll be amazed how you'll set yourself apart from your peers. Would that weren't the case, but the qualities that I just mentioned, the attributes, are more rare than you might think. And finally, for those headed into the workforce, recognize that when you start, you're the new person. And, you know, the folks have been there doing their thing for a while. They're not necessarily interested about your opinion about this or that. Your supervisor is sitting at his or her desk. Doesn't need to have you just barging right in, telling him or her all about your weekend. There's a time and a place for that. Some of you may have played team sports, and you may remember what it's like as a freshman or a sophomore even to be called up and play on the varsity team. You know, you've got a role to play, and if you do the earlier, if you exhibit some of the attributes I mentioned earlier, you'll set yourself apart, and folks will seek you out. But as they say, early on, know your role, shut your hole. And having said that, let me finish with, go Army, beat Navy. Ooh!